YouTube friends, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I am so happy to have you. I would love for you to hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications so that you don't miss another video from me. Today's video, I'm going to share with you how I achieve these beautiful mirrored display boxes for my coffee table. And if you want to see how I made those, keep on watching. Some of the supplies you're going to need are going to be these mirrored squared from the Dollar Tree, these little containers, they come in a pack of 8, some diamond wrap. I'm going to be using the silver one, but it also comes in other colors like this champagne and really yellowy gold color, depending on what color you want to make your box. And I'm going to be using some 8x10 frames, but you can use different sizes like 5x7, 4x6. Depending on how small or how big, and also these other supplies listed here. You'll also need a poster board, the foam poster board, and what you're going to do is line up 4 mirrored squares and trace around it to create one big square. And you're going to repeat this process throughout the entire poster board to achieve about 6 squares. They perfectly line up with the entire poster board. You're going to use the entire thing. And then you'll end up with these 6 squares once you cut them out with your razor or your Xacto knife. And you're going to take about 3 of them, stack them together, and glue them to each other. I use some hot glue for this, but you can use whatever glue you prefer. A6000, super glue, whatever. Then I'm going to line up my mirrored squares on top and glue those to the poster board. But first, you'll have to remove the little foam pieces at the bottom. So I'm using my higher temperature glue gun, and I didn't find any issues with using that directly onto the mirror. It gave me a little bit more flexibility when I went to adjust the mirror and make sure it lined up perfectly. So that's the method I use, but you can glue the foam board first and add your mirror, whatever you're comfortable with. So now you're gonna have your base, and it's gonna look like this. The next thing I'm going to do is use the diamond wrap to cover up the area of the foam. So I'm just going to glue that directly onto the foam. And I'm very light-handed with my glue gun. I barely press the trigger so that I don't burn myself, because that is really not fun. So I'm just gluing it directly onto it and just letting it roll and wrapping it all the way around the foam. And this is what the base looks like at the end. It's like having a little diamond skirt. There is a little bit of overlap left over, and I went ahead and spray painted these little containers and glued them also to the base to kind of give it like more height and create little legs. And that's what it looks like. Now I'm going to be working on my frames. I'm removing these metal fasteners that are on the back, and also removing the rest of the backing and the inserts. And I went ahead and glued the glass and anchored it onto the frame by using some hot glue in all the corners. The next step I'm going to be doing is fastening the 2 frames together. And I'm going to be doing this. I need 4 frames to create my box, and I'm going to use some duct tape. Now I'm going to use 1 strip of duct tape, measure the length, and I'm going to create 2 strips out of that big strip because it's too wide for the width of the 2 frames together. So I actually need to cut that down. So out of this long strip here, I'm going to cut it down the middle to create 2 strips. So I just kind of put it on the side of my counter there, and I cut it widthwise, and then I cut it lengthwise. It's very sticky, so it was a little bit tricky to do this, but you can find a method that's easier for you. It doesn't need to be perfect because it's going to be covered by some more diamond wrap. So now I go ahead and line up the frames together, and I will tape them up. Now I didn't mention that I spray painted my pieces. I spray painted my frames because I wanted to have silver ones, but the frames came in a really beautiful light gold color, so you could have left them that way, or you can spray paint it whatever color you want. Now I'm going to use a diamond wrap to cover up the duct tape because this is a display case, so you're going to see the inside, and I'm going to repeat the process for all 4 sides. So I'm going to measure, and then I'm going to cut. And then I'm going to repeat this 4 more times because I need 4 pieces. So here's my first piece. Here is my second piece. My third piece. And my fourth piece. So the next step is to glue these onto the duct tape to hide it. And you want to make sure that when you glue it, it's easy to fold. And you want to put the glue along the edges of the ribbon so that you don't have any weird gaps and any weird warps when you make your box. So I did that, again, very light-handed with the glue so that you don't burn yourself, and this is what it looks like. It's perfect width with the 5 rows of the diamond, and it really hides the duct tape. So I repeated the process for 3 more times, and now on the 4th side, which is going to be the one that I fold over to create the box, I added 1 strip of tape, the same size that I used as the other sides, and I folded the frames over and created this crease with the tape, and then I just applied some pressure once everything was lined up to make sure that it was secure. It actually took me a couple of tries to get it right. Now the final step for this is to add the last strip of the diamond wrap, which is a little bit tricky, and you have to kind of work like inside of the case, and adding the glue along the 2 edges of the tape was a little bit tricky to fit your glue gun in there, but that's what I did. So I added glue along the edges on both sides because I didn't want to have to go back, and the glue didn't dry up on me, thankfully, so it worked out. So I grabbed my ribbon and made sure it didn't fall like on the glue, and then I stretched it out, straightened it, and I added it and pressed it on. Now if there's a little bit of extra or overlap, you can always cut that at the end there. And then once that's done, that's what I have, and now I'm going to be adding some marbles to the top to give it some extra interest. I'm using these marbles from the Dollar Tree. They're actually really nice, they're clear, and they're a little bit reflective. So I'm going to hot glue those to each corner at the very top of my case. So being so light-handed with the glue, it looks like I'm adding a lot, but I'm just adding a tiny bit at a time so that until I have enough. And then I blew on it a little bit to let it dry so that the marble would get secure. So I'm going to do that 4 times for each corner. And this is what it looks like. Then I'm going to use these beads, not the yellow one, the silver beads from the Dollar Tree. You can put them directly on the frame, or you can put them at the seam where they are connected together with the tape. And you can also put it at the top. So it's all based on your own taste. I personally wanted to put them at the corners where they were joined together so it looked like it was coming from the marble. So I'm going to glue that onto the seam there in the corner. So after I measured it, I just cut a piece off, and using the hot glue gun, I started adding a small amount of glue at a time to secure the beads. I put a little bit on the bead itself to let it, to allow it to adhere to the frame, and then I just went ahead and did it all along. Now adding the hot glue to the seam is going to make this a lot less flexible than if you would just leave the tape itself. That way it would like fold away for easy storage. But I like the way it looked, so I didn't mind that it wasn't as flexible. So again, you could put some more at the top. I'm personally not going to do that. I'm just going to leave it as is. And this is what it looks like. Not very flexible, but pretty sturdy. And then after cleaning the glass, I can add the case itself onto the base. It's just going to sit like that. I'm not going to glue it. and this is what it looks like. And finally, when I put it on my coffee table, this is what the result looks like. I think it looks beautiful. It goes really well with my silver and gold theme throughout my house. I did 2 of those cases, and you can place whatever you want in them. You can place a vase, a candle, whatever you prefer. And yeah, I really like the way it turned out. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.